Joining us now is Michael McFaul. He served as the United States ambassador to Russia under President Obama. He's an MS Now international affairs analyst. He's the author of Autocrats versus Democrats, China, Russia, America, and the New Global Disorder. Ambassador, thank you for being with us. Mark Carney, I drop as frequently as I can the reference to being Canadian, but he's a technocrat. He's the kind of guy who Europeans tend to elect, right? It's not a kind of guy that Americans elect. He was a central banker in the United Kingdom, in Canada. He stepped into the limelight as a global leader with a message that the world seems to be ready for right now.
Yes, it was a historic speech. And by the way, one of my former students works for him, a Canadian, so I'm proud of that fact too, because we used to study these very issues here at Stanford. And I want to just say analytically, I think the speech was brilliant. But I also want to tell you, as a small d Democrat and a small l liberal who believes in the same thing that the prime minister does on almost everything, it's a very sad speech for me to listen to as an American. I'm not ready. The disruption that he talked about, that's a lamentation for me. That's really sad that one of our closest allies in all of this history that you so eloquently just described, we've been there together, including in the trenches, but on so many issues. And now, because of our president right now, he is compelling one of our closest allies ever to make that speech. So I agree analytically with what he said. I think the strategy for middle powers is the correct one, but I'm not going to give up hope. And I want to remind everybody that President Trump does not speak for all of Americans. Public opinion is really clear that we don't want to leave NATO. We don't want to abandon values. We don't want to abandon Ukraine. He is out of touch with American society on this. And the question moving forward is, can we, who believe in liberal internationalism, like the Prime Minister does, can we push our country back in the right direction? And that question, I do not know, but I know that I'm going to be engaged in that fight.
So Donald Trump, again, this is the point where I think you may have fallen out of your chair when he said if NATO, if we were to call up our NATO allies and say, hey, guys, we're under attack, I don't think they'd come. I don't even know what to say about that. I just don't know what to say about that. Anybody who's read a pamphlet on NATO understands that Article 5 was invoked once. It was invoked when America was attacked, and people, Canadians, the French, the Brits, and 30 other countries gave their blood in support of the United States in Afghanistan.
I'll tell you how to call it. It's outrageous. This president says a lot of outrageous things. I thought, when he was talking about invading Greenland, he couldn't outdo himself. But it is absolutely outrageous. And to your point, maybe he doesn't know, but that's no excuse. As the president of the United States, you need to know. And by the way, we didn't call them when we were attacked. They called us. Right. They moved before we even asked for them to come with us in Afghanistan. And the idea that the sacrifice that you just described, and it was heroic sacrifice by many, many countries that were not attacked, that had no dog in the fight in Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan, yet deployed to die with our soldiers. And he is so disgraceful to say what he did. It's just outrageous. And I hope other Americans and members of our Congress and Senate will speak out and call him on it, because it does not represent the America that I want.
But they don't. You're right. And they don't. And Republicans in Congress who believe that they're in the same place that you are about what America's role in the world should be. There may be minute differences on how involved we should be in certain things, but generally speaking, Americans share this view that we should be a massive contributor to the peace and stability of the world, and yet we do not hear the outrage from Republicans, from the enablers of Donald Trump.
It's disappointing to me, especially those that were affiliated with the Bush administration. They were the ones who were attacked. They were the ones that led this coalition, and I think it is time for them to push back. I mean, it's one thing, you got to pick your fights and whatever. And I know many of these people, you're right, I know what they say privately, but this is outrageous. And it's not just outrageous in a moral place and I can get angry about it. It's bad for America's long-term national interest, because this strategy means that we are going it alone. And we can survive for a while. We're a great, powerful nation. We have lots of resources. But decades from now, our children and grandchildren can't go it alone. We're not that strong. And when we pull out and we offend everybody, we think everything's going to break down. That's not true. Remember, President Trump pulled out of that Trans-Pacific Partnership in his first term. It still exists, folks. It's doing well. And if
just exists without us.
They did it without us. And same with NATO. NATO will survive without us, and we will be the losers, not Canada, not our NATO allies. And I think even if you don't agree morally, you should agree strategically. We're better off with allies than going it alone.
Ambassador, good to see you as always. Thank you for this conversation tonight. Ambassador Michael McFaul.